Are you trying to make big decisions about your business, your content, your next chapter, but everything feels foggy? You're not unmotivated, and you're not flaky, and you're definitely not broken. You're just not anchored in your voice right now. And without that, without a clear rooted connection to your inner truth, aligned decisions become almost impossible. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Voicekeeper Podcast. I'm Caroline Hull. This is your space to return to your voice, remember what's true, and lead from the inside out without pressure, performance, or burnout. Today's episode, I want to explore something I've been hearing over and over again from my clients lately, and maybe sometimes from myself. I just don't know what to do. Not because they lack options, but because they've lost connection to the part of themselves that knows. I'm going to call this your voice, and I'm also going to call it your intuition. But before we go even deeper, let's take a breath. If it feels safe to do so, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Place one hand on your heart. Let your body find stillness. Take a slow breath in and exhale gently. Do that again, and I just want you to notice where your voice lives in your body now. Is it open? Is it hiding? Is it tense? Is it quiet? Just noticing is enough. So before we dive into today, I have to tell you all what is happening in my world right at this moment. So if you are watching me on YouTube, I hope you are not noticing how puffy my face is. I am having some kind of weird reaction to a face soap I used. And it was really funny because I sat down to record this podcast episode and I was like, oh, shoot, I have to be on video. And then I remembered that the message is way more important than how puffy my face is. And I don't really care because I wanted to share this with you. And I guess I just wanted to share that because I know that a lot of us feel like things need to be perfect in order for us to take steps forward. And sometimes messy action is what is required to make things happen. And so this is me in my gray t-shirt, my puffy face, taking messy action. So I invite you to take some messy action with me this week. Find something in your life that needs just a little push, a little shove, do it imperfectly. Let's go. Like, we only live once, right, people? Okay. So let's talk about this concept today. Your voice isn't just your message or your content. I like to think of your voice as part of your inner knowing. It's the frequency of your truth, right? It's what guides your decisions, your creativity, your visibility. And when you lose connection to it, everything else starts to feel forced. And I think this is something really important that I want to talk about because in the last couple of episodes I talked a lot about like finding your voice and reconnecting to your voice and how do you know when you need to find your voice, all of those things. But we can find our voice, like we can start to form that connection and still not be paying attention to that inner knowing, that intuition. I worked recently with a client and she felt really unsure of where her business was going. She had a lot of ideas and honestly, she knew where she wanted to go, but she had no clarity. And she kept telling me, I keep asking what I should do, but nothing feels right. And again, like in our session, we didn't start with strategy. We started with her voice, her body, her truth. What are you feeling? What is coming up for you? I'm right now taking a course on the laws of attraction. And they were talking about how, you feel things in your body when you say things. Like, for instance, I'm going to go to the grocery store today. Like, how does that feel in your body? Like, does that feel good? Does that feel stressful? That is part of your intuition. And somewhere along the way in this modern age, in this modern world, we stop listening to that. Part of reclamation of my voice over the last few years has been really learning to listen to my intuition again and reconnecting with her because she's smart. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. And what's funny is now that I have reconnected to my intuition, I can see all these things that have happened in my life where I completely ignored her. One of my favorite examples is when I was in college. I went to a university. I was a ballet pedagogy major. I was at one of the top 4 ballet programs at the time. I think they still have a really good ballet program, but it was not a good fit for me from the start. Like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. I had the professors were already on me about my weight pretty much the minute I walked in the door. The floors were not sprung. So, and I was a jumper. The summer before that, I had gone to a summer program, and this really famous ballet person, I'm not going to use names here because, like, none of this is important. But this really famous ballet, she was a ballerina and then later a ballet teacher, and she was very famous. She had worked with Balanchine. If you know anything about ballet, that's huge. She had asked me to come to the university where she was teaching. And my immediate reaction was to say no, because I didn't want to move too far away from my home. I wanted to be able to drive home. Anyways, the whole 4 years I was at this university, all I could think about was that invitation she had given me and how much I didn't want to be there, how much I was ready for it to be over, how much I was ready to graduate and like move on to the next thing. And I think about that a lot. Not that I care so much. I did not become a professional ballet dancer because I ended up getting very injured my junior year, and they treated me horribly after my injury. There's a lot that went down. I really need to like put this on my Substack one day, this whole story, because it's kind of crazy. But it was interesting because in retrospect, when I started looking back on that time, there was this voice telling me, like, this is not where you're supposed to be. This is not where you're supposed to be. And I kept pushing it down. Well, transferring's too hard. Doing this is too hard. And sometimes I like to think about, like, what if I had stepped into my power and been like, this is not where I belong. I don't like the way I'm being treated. I have the ability to transfer to another university. It may be hard. It may be difficult. I may have to go do some auditions. I may need to take a gap year. But like the experience would have been so different. And I might not carry all the trauma and stuff that I carried from my time there. We will never know. And that's okay. We don't need to what if. I've healed from that. I've worked through it. It's all good. I'm finding movement again. I love it. Everything's good. But I want to use that as an example because to me, when I first started healing that time period, I kept saying, man, I wasted 4 years. And it still feels like that sometimes, to be honest. I'll be like, man, I wasted 4 years. But when I can pinpoint the reason why it feels like a waste, it's because I did not listen to my intuition. And that's a pretty heavy example, but I want to share that because I want to give you a moment in time to kind of like say, okay, yes, I get the concept that she's telling us. So let me talk about why this all like is important for you to work on and how this makes sense in the context of what I do. This is not just mindset work. I want to be very specific. Mindset is a huge piece of this, but like it's all connected. You can't just work on one thing. Like you can't just sit down with a whole bunch of affirmations and think they're going to change your life. You have to be connected to your inner voice. You have to change how your brain functions around certain ideas. It's soul work. It really is. This is work that is deep, is about yourself. And a lot of times it's about pulling things out that maybe you are not seeing, and it's really hard to do alone. And spiritual life coaching creates space for you to return to your voice without needing to perform or explain. And I want to include this in this episode because I think it's really important to understand, like, yes, 110,000%, you can listen to this podcast every week and you can take these concepts that I'm talking about and you can go, okay, I'm going to work on them. But sometimes we get to a point where we need help. Everybody hits these points. I have hit these points. I've been in therapy. I've done coaching, all of the things. And it has made such a huge impact on my life because it helped me get from point A to point B a lot faster than if I had tried to do it by myself. Spiritual coaching for me really is a pause. It's a time to pause, to remember, and a chance to feel yourself align and feel yourself again, right? Feel who you are before you take those next steps forward. So all that to say, if you're in that foggy place right now, there's a reflection I want you to sit with. What does my voice want me to know before I take my next step? Don't rush it. Whatever comes forward, let it come forward, even when word is enough. Sometimes clarity is not a full sentence. It's a whisper. And I think that one of the skills that we have to learn is to listen to those whispers and to start to discern if that is the brain or the heart speaking to us. One of the concepts that was really interesting to me when I was going through my coaching certification, and I also read a lot of psychology books and things like that, there is this definite difference between, our brain thinking and what I like to say is our heart thinking, because I think that's an easy visualization. Our intuition may tell us something, and then our brain may go, no, 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 I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel safe, right? And that's, just like my story where my intuition was saying, you don't belong here. You should go somewhere else. And my brain was like, no, 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 that's going to be too hard. That's going to be too difficult. It's going to take too much time, money, effort, etc. So we're not going to do that. When you're able to start listening to each of those and going, okay, what are you trying to get out of this brain? And what are you trying to get out of this heart? It's very similar to people with anxiety, how we have to learn to make friends with our anxiety and learn to be like, oh yeah, that's my brain trying to keep me safe right now. It's a very similar concept. So if you're journaling this prompt, what does my voice want me to know before I take my next step? And you're hearing whispers and counter whispers, write them all down and then go through them and see like, which of these came from my brain and which came from my heart? Start there. I think that's a really great place to start. And if you're trying to figure out where to go next, but feel untethered, unsure, or like you've drifted from your truth, I want to invite you into something deeper. This is exactly the work that I do inside my Voicekeeper coaching sessions. These are not strategy sessions, although sometimes we talk a little strategy. These are sacred spaces for women who want to reconnect with themselves before they make their next move. We root into your voice, we listen, we uncover the clarity that's been waiting underneath all the noise. And from there, you will know what to do because you will be connected to this inner knowing. So you can head to carolinehull.com/awaken to book an awakening session. This is my kind of intro session, and I would be honored to talk and walk with you. So just to close out, you don't need another plan. You don't need to perform your way into clarity. You need your voice, and it's already here waiting to be heard. Let's return to it together. I'll see you next time.